Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have, for SCP-cember, I did it, guys. What?
SCP-cember?
No, that's in September, not December.
Okay.
We're doing SCPs, guys.
I'm confused.
So we're doing SCP-3889, or Haulin Hank, with a gray angler. Last episode, which is getting posted, will be the one where we did 3897, which is the giant like sky flesh beast thing with hooks. Or with like armatures that grab people in the night and such.
Yeah, big beefy arm coming at the back there.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Trogdor.
No problem.
And it turned out that like after that, at the end of that article, that there's a connection between it and two other SCP entries. So we have decided for this SCP flavored December, we're going to incorporate. We're going to talk about those SCP entries, starting off with 3889. So it was posted and created by CadaverCommander, which I believe is the same person as 3897. And so going to the rundown here. SCP-3889 is an old fisherman named Hank. He permeates local folklore and fishing communities along the Eastern American coastline. This is due to his god-tier ability to cast a line into any kind of water, regardless of depth or size, and dredge up all manner of eldritch horror from the depths, and then vanish from the scene, leaving the SCP agents or bystanders to deal with a Teom event creature and the aftermath thereof.
What a cool guy.
Yeah.
So swell.
Mm-hmm. He vanishes as soon as agents have tried to capture him, leaving another agent in his place, just like a friggin' magic trick, and even like playfully pranking them. Like he'll leave a lure up your nose, or put there'll be like large, heavy like fishing waders in your pocket, so your pants will come down. He's a funny guy that way.
What a goofball.
Yeah, when he's not summoning Godzilla type monsters out of the depths and then leaving and then bouncing.
Mm-hmm.
So this doesn't mean that he's not friendly or even not opening to like talk and stuff like that. He will allow interviews as long as no one attempts to like capture him or kill him. And he's even gone on to give some reasons as to like why he's doing this, or like that kind of stuff. And apparently these things have to be found and dealt with. So he's kind of like he knows that the SCP Foundation or like other groups will be around to like stop them when they are summoned. And the reason why he's summoning them in the first place, because if he didn't, apparently they'd get bigger and maybe cause more problems. Like the ones that he's dredging up, like these giant monsters that he's dredging up, are just the babies. Or at least so he says in the one recorded interview. So it's for whom he does this, or like for whom he gets his orders to do this and such, or like how he got his powers. That's unclear. But for the time being, he seems to be a tenuous ally, or a finicky ally to humanity and even the SCP Foundation. Now, going back to the Teom events themselves, some of the critters that are included in the dossier are a huge amorphous mass of musculoskeletal tissue, an octopoid-shaped monster made from corpses that have just magically disappeared from their coffins, like when the SCP after the fact dug up the core of the body, like dug up the graves of some of the bodies they were able to identify. They found that the coffins were still in the ground, like untouched, but the bodies were missing. So they apparently just like teleport into this mass. Another one is a large basking shark pulled up from a small water canal, and a massive sea titan corpse reanimated, like giant human creature rising out of the depths with tentacles on its back on the back of its body and neck, like, just a giant sea titan or a basking shark. One or the other. It's a Russian roulette. So the Foundation has been able to deal, and yeah, the Foundation has been able to deal with these entities, if at a cost, both financially and casualties.
Human lives.
Yeah, human lives.
Yeah.
But I mean, it always seems to be like it could have been worse, because like he never seems to, like, Hank does go out of his way to try and summon these things away from major populations, and the SCP Foundation is able to put them down with certain ordnance. So it's not exactly a Godzilla event where they can't stop they can't stop one of these things from taking out a major city. I guess that could be the threat. Like that's the existential threat, is like, what if it does get to a major city?
Mm-hmm.
But for the time being, Hank is just going to go along the eastern coastline, summoning monsters out of the depths for mysterious reasons, and have the SCP Foundation have to deal with it. And that's basically the entry of SCP-3889. So I guess we're going to go on to. Well, I actually have a Grammar Inquisition, so I guess we have to go on to at least one person's favorite segment of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone tolerates the Grammar Inquisitions at this point. All right. SCP-3889 claims to not know its actual age, though its physical appearance is consistent with that of an average male Caucasian octogenarian. So, I've heard of octogenarian before, but I could not recall its meaning at the time of reading the story and so that. So I decided to look it up. An octogenarian is a person who is from 80 to 89 years old, according to the Oxford Dictionary. So it's just another word for somebody in their 80s.
Uh-huh.
And that's my Grammar Inquisition. It was short, sweet. Actually, I technically have one, but it kind of segues into an actual thought, so I'm going to hold off on it.
So that's not even a Grammar Inquisition. That's I learned a thing.
I mean, I count those as in Grammar Inquisition because it's about word, or it's about a word that I learned. So, and we've included
I put
them
those under notes personally, but that's me.
I've included them in my Grammar Inquisitions since we started the show.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, good for me. You know what? Get the fuck out.
Was it?
Yeah, no, it was good for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Mikey, 3 of them.
And that's where the recording ends.
Yeah, just get tense.
So, if you guys like what you heard, spread the word.
Yeah, so I don't have really much for Grammar Inquisition, and the it story that I have isn't really an it story. So, but I mean, I can do that.
You seem so sad.
It really seemed like it.
Do you want to do your it story?
Sure.
Wow.
I guess.
If I have to, I guess.
We're gonna die anyway.
Oh my God. Gee. All right. And now an it story with Mikey. The E stands for evil. It's gonna be okay, buddy.
It reaches into its jacket pocket and removes a pack of cigarettes and a lighter. It then lights a cigarette and draws once before continuing. Finn.
Oh, I was like, oh, okay, all right. I can see why you're a little hesitant, because it's part of the interview thing, and we know what it is. So
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
nailed it. So other than that, I'm done with Grammar Inquisition.
All right. Gamer, do you have anything?
Yeah, I got some of the grammar in yellow.
Cool.
First off is a run-on sentence.
I think I know which one it is, but continue, please.
As of the time of this document's creation, general knowledge and influence of SCP-3889 has not extended beyond the eastern coast of the central United States of America, namely the states of Maryland, Virginia, and North Carolina, and as such, current secondary containment measures are considered adequate until investigation yields a feasible mechanism for its physical containment. Period.
Okay, that wasn't the one I was thinking of, but yes, that is also very run-on.
Yes, so I separated that into 3 sentences.
Okay.
As the time of this document's creation, general knowledge and influence of SCP-3889 has not extended beyond the eastern coast of the central United States of America. Period. SCP-3889 stays within the states of Maryland, Virginia, and North Carolina. Period. Current secondary containment measures are considered adequate. Blah 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 blah.
Gotcha. Is the next one? Did you count the next one, by the way, as well?
I don't know if this one is directly after it, but I'm about to read another run-on.
Does it start with all major piers, wharves, shipyards,
Yeah.
harbors? Okay, yeah. That's the one I had that I was going to save because I had an actual thought behind it. But as I was quoting it for the actual thought, I was like, Jesus, this is run on.
Okay, so I'll read it.
Yeah,
and then separate it, and then you do your little note thingy.
All right.
All major piers, wharves, shipyards, harbors, marinas, and commercial fisheries in the region, including their surrounding waters extending up to 5 kilometers from the coastline, will be monitored by Naval Task Force Sigma 58 bottom feeders in conjunction with Foundation naval assets for second-hand accounts of SCP-3889's exploits, as well to contain and neutralize any after effects of Event 3889 to home.
Oh. Yep. That's a run-on sentence.
A little bit.
That's a paragraph. That is literally an entire paragraph on this article.
Yeah. So the way that I separated it is 5 kilometers from the coastline will be monitored, period. And then instead of saying monitored by Naval Task Force, you just go will be monitored, period. Naval Task Force Sigma 56 bottom feeders will oversee the operation in conjunction with Foundation naval assets, blah, 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 blah.
Gotcha.
So at least breaks up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like there's no period. Like, yeah.
Now, do you want to chime in with your nude?
Yeah. So this is the first. The reason why I chose this as my quote for this is because this is the first instance in the article for a T-home event, and I was curious as to what the significance of like T-home is in terms of like a word. So I googled it and I was surprised. I found according to Wikipedia, T-home, which is TEHOM, is Hebrew for abyss or great deep. And it actually refers to the deep reaches of the primordial waters of creation. Which, dang, when you look deeper into the word and its usage and origin, it's pretty damn fitting for this article, and also for things of a mythos nature. Like I could definitely use it as some for like digging into like deeper into the material of like surrounding T-home, like the word and like what it like kind of references and stuff. I could definitely see it being used for like interpretations of like the great old ones and like things from like the eldritch depths of the ocean and such. Like it's basically like where it's basically in reference to like primordial, like the primordial deep of the ocean. So it's got some weight behind it. And again, like for the story, for this as a name for like the events, like the creatures that Hank dredges up, it works perfectly because he's dredging up things from like from the deepest reaches of like eldritch waters. So yeah, that was why that's what I wanted to reference with there. So,
Foundation agents are understanding orders to employ any means necessary. Blah 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 blah. So it's understanding should be combined into one word.
Is it? They're understanding orders. They're not understanding. No, they are not like. No, I don't think it's. I think they're under. Like,
oh, they're understanding orders?
Yeah, like standing orders.
Understanding orders.
Yeah, like standing orders should be closer together than understanding.
I don't know.
Like, yeah, or maybe it should also just get rid of the standing. It's like Foundation agents are under orders to employ.
Yeah,
because that's really what it's trying to say there. But like, I understand why like standing orders there, because standing orders is a term.
Okay, I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, no, because I hiccuped over that one as well because I was like, our understanding orders. Oh no, it's understanding orders. Like they're all supposed to be separate. But
because English language.
Yeah, but because there's a compound word called understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should make more words.
No.
Oh, more words that are different from other words.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Or we'll just
That's
do
why
what
I
the
hate
English language has been. Yeah, we'll just do what the English language has been doing for centuries and just steal other words from other languages.
Yeah, that'll work. So my next one, I guess it's kind of grammary, mainly because I don't understand. So and yeah, it's in dialogue. So first off, I'm gonna say I know it's dialogue. I know it's dialogue from an SCP entity. However, I want to know what he's trying to get at. He says, "You can't bottle a squall, son." That's fine. I get it. But then he says, "Or only fool catch takes fool bait."
Yeah, I get that.
What does that mean?
So only like so basically like only like fool catch. So catch like when in reference to this is like the fish, right? Like only fool
Yeah.
fish go after fool bait.
But it's saying only fool catch takes fool bait. Oh, the catch, as in the catch means fish. Only foolish fish takes foolish bait.
Yeah, it's a maritime term. Like when people refer to a catch, they're referring to a fish that they've caught.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It
was either going to be meaning only a fool brings fool bait.
Yeah.
Or you'll only catch a fool with fool bait.
Yeah, no, it's a maritime like localized kind of dialect.
Okay.
I heard it. I mean, I've heard it in shows and in. I don't think I heard it when I was out there, but I like it. I've heard it in shows that like take place in like on the East Coast in like in Newfoundland and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I was taking the word "take" as in the fisherman bringing bait to use.
Yeah.
Not the fish taking the bait.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the English language.
Yeah, and there's all these different localizations that make it even more difficult. But hey, that's the human race. We like to diversify.
Go us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my next one has a random bit of info in it that kind of breaks the flow personally. So I'll read it. After a period of time varying from the shortest recorded of 32 seconds to the longest of 3 hours, 44 minutes, and 55 seconds, the float of SCP-3889's fishing line will bob once, whereupon SCP-3889 will reel in its catch, then disappear. No upper limit has been found to the strength and durability of 3889's body and equipment during the Tehom event. Sealed examples of 3889 events are resilient entities below, as follows, rather. So I kind of feel that the whole strength and durability section does not need to be here. There's no reason for it to be here specifically, and it should just be put around the start as a blanket statement about 3889 in general. Because with it being here, when I'm reading it, I was in the mindset of learning about what the Tehom event is, and then it swaps over to like his strengths and resistances. So it made me think that, okay, that's the entirety of the event. This section was over. So I went into my notes and put down some stuff about, wait, they watch him and record the exact times, but not what he pulls out of it? What the hell? You guys are from Derpland or something, derp-a-derp. And then after reading the line about durability, after that, it basically says, here's a list of recovered items. I was like, oh. I was not pleased, and hence my explanation here.
Yeah, no, okay, yeah, I could see it. Like, I mean, because it is in reference to like, I think why they're bringing up his strength and durability of him and his items is because like these, like, how is he able to like dredge up these giant monstrosities things, right?
Yeah,
yeah. I could see where you're going from, where like it has to go. It should probably go up into the descriptor to kind of get like so that we know about that ahead of time.
And also, like, it doesn't say he's bringing in big shit yet, so all this strength and durability stuff has no meaning. Because for all I know, he's bringing in small items with the fishing rod. Because nothing has been said.
Yeah, I almost wonder if maybe that should have. So instead of like moving it up to where the descriptor is at the top of like the front, like maybe even like remove it from this section here, name off all the weird monsters and shit like that, and then at the bottom, like right before it's about to say like in all other scenarios, SCP-3889 can freely interact. Like put it right there, like right after the listings of all the giant monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Because
just like the whole description of the Tehom event, describe it a little bit better at the start, where it'd be like, my whole problem with this is that section in the center where with the whole upper limit thing. So I feel like it would be better if it was moved to the start of the entire story, or just the start of the description of the Tehom event, saying that after a period of time he'll reel in its catch. The catch is always a monstrosity. Not monstrosities. That's not even a word.
Monstrosity.
No, it's not even. I'm trying to say a gigantic entity of one kind or another.
Yeah.
And then after you clarified that he always reels in something that's huge. You can follow it up saying the upper limit has not yet been found of the strength and durability of his body and equipment, but they're able to withstand pulling these giant entities out of the water. Sealed examples of tome events are below. Like, that would all make sense. It would flow right.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, so next one is seemingly non-anomalous specimen of ellipses. So, is it just me, or is non-anomalous a really weird way to say it? It's like saying it's not normal.
No,
Anomalous means it's not normal, though.
Yeah, or it's random. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the definition is it's not normal.
Let's look it up. Anomalous etymology.
Deviating from what is standard, normal, or expected.
Yeah, deviating from the general rule.
So it's saying it's not normal.
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah,
it's not saying that. It's saying that, but it's not saying that directly.
Because that's what it means. It bugs me.
Yeah.
So why not just seemingly mundane specimen?
I don't know.
It's because they pulled it down of a river.
Yeah.
That's the trick there, because that's the
the specimen itself is mundane,
right?
Yeah, that's the basking shark example,
But the basking shark itself is a mundane example of a basking shark that he pulled out through weird means. But the shark itself is what it's referring to.
Yeah, that's
saying
true.
that it's non-anomalous.
Yeah,
so it's
I
mundane.
Probably because the closest basking shark is a few miles away, type thing.
Yeah, but it's a mundane basking shark.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Pulling out a seemingly non-anomalous specimen. It's not saying it's pulling it out in a non-anomalous way. It
sounds
the
like
itself.
It sounds to me that like the person that wrote this just wanted to like have like
fancy words.
A fancy word, yeah.
Well, because anomalous is used all the time in SCP.
Mm-hmm.
So it's non-anomalous. That means it's like it's opposite of anomalous. So that means non-anomalous, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but bottom line is that you just didn't like the use of that because it comes off as like almost
it's a double negative.
Yeah, double negative. That's it. Yeah.
That bugged me. Yes.
Okay.
But that is it for the grammar in yellow.
All right. Then I suppose on to actual thoughts proper. So I'm gonna start with this one here. When approached by Foundation assets that intends to arrest, detain, or otherwise impede SCP-3889, it will generally state an aphorism such as, "Can't bottle a squall, son," or "Only fools take fools." Only fools.
See how weird that is?
I understand, yes. "Only fool takes fool bait." Whereupon SCP-3889 will vanish. In its place, a Foundation agent currently assigned to SCP-889 or 3889 will appear in whatever pose or posture adopted by SCP-3889 before its disappearance. This effect appears to have no limitations based on distance or mass and is instantaneous, with the arriving agent generally in a state of confusion but otherwise unharmed. Okay, so Haulin Hank is just like a nautical trickster god, like a cross between Loki a cross between Loki and Poseidon, or maybe he's an avatar of Nodens, to go with like a mythos side of things, because like Nodens is kind of a sea hunting god sort of character, and less malevolent than most of the great old ones and elder gods in Lovecraftian mythology or mythos. Also, it's just like I just for some reason I always like whenever it says like in whatever pose or posture adopted by SCP-3889 when he disappears, I just like imagine him like planking and then vanishing, and then the agent's in that posture. Or just like or he dabs and then he leaves.
How dare you, sir?
Or it's just like "You can't bottle a squall, son," and then he dabs and then vanishes, and it's an agent in his place. Like the guy blinks, the guy in front of him blinks, and it's just something an agent dabbing.
So good.
But then moving on to this next one here. Selected examples of 3889 T-Home events and resultant entities in follows. So we get like. So as of December 2011, which is the last entry that is or last T-Home event that is put down in the listing, there have been 41 T-Home events because that was TOM event number 41. And only 4 of them are included in this listing. So for me, that gives a lot of creative room to basically you could do a spin-off catalog series of the SCP Foundation of just TOM events and stories and accounts thereof.
Or do an entire tabletop campaign based off that.
I was also just thinking that, a monster, perhaps a monster of the week sort of situation, where every session is a different eldritch horror or aquatic monstrosity that this old man just brings up and then vanishes away, leaving it for your agents. I could see this being done in Delta Green to kind of give it the SCP Foundation. I mean, Delta Green or the Esoterrorist for the Gumshoe system. I mean, there's tons of different systems. Hell, Monster of the Week, just it in itself would be fine perfectly. Where you're just
would be called Bottom Feeders because you're Sigma Task Force 58 Bottom Feeders, and you're doing.
Would it be that, or could it be the Flotsam Patrol Unit?
Yeah, pretty much.
That totally wasn't Flotsam Patrol Unit. Totally was not inspired by Haulin Hank.
Well, no, how could it be?
I know. It's not like I read that series, read this entry while we were doing the last SCP.
No, that's true.
Check out our Patreon for our actual play rigor mortis episodes of the Flotsam Patrol Unit. Hey, or our One Less Die episodes when they eventually get posted publicly. Plug. So yeah, we're going back to using it for game scenarios or story material. Again, I could see there could be you could have if you don't want to do an RPG game kind of thing of it, you could write stories about characters in caught in the crossfire basically, or going up to this old fisherman just as he's about to haul up Godzilla. And have that kind of conversation, and then have the aftermath of that. Those could it's such a rich story field for you to work with. And we even have adequate examples of the feel of what kind of creatures that he's dredging up for. So you got basically eldritch and titanic in nature, corpse aesthetic, odd marine life, and sea monsters. Just basically eldritch aquatic corpse monsters, and those are. It seems that's a pretty small niche, but I mean, you take each one of the it doesn't have to have all of those parts. It just has to have one aspect of those.
So those are just the ones we know of too.
Exactly, those are the ones that are brought up, but because those are the ones that are are mentioned, it's kind of I'd say it's fairly safe to say that those are the representative of the different of the nature of the things that are coming up out of the depths. But again, you can also have fun with it. It's a fisherman dredging up these giant monster things. You can do whatever you want for other 41 or for other 38 creatures. And that's just as of December 2011. I assume Hank is still out there causing mischief and summoning monsters from the depths. So yeah, that was my big takeaway from that part. It was Jesus Christ, there's still 38 entries that are not mentioned, and maybe they were just mundane or they were kind of out of the ordinary, but it seemed like they weren't. It seemed like these ones were just listed because they were the most prominent ones, but there could be bigger threats and stuff, or just equally threatening monsters that are coming out of the ocean.
Well, I could confirm that because I got to jump in with one of my notes here.
Sure.
On the picture. Yes. It says SCP 3889 during 3889 Tohom event dated 25th of September 2009. Note the upper cranial section of Tohom 38 emerging from the theorized subsurface dimensional breach. So that one isn't even listed. There's a picture of it.
Yeah, that's exactly, yeah.
And it's saying that's his cranial region, so that's his head being pulled out.
Yeah, I got it. I think that's just supposed to be a rock, right? Or is it actually if you get closer in that image, is it something bigger?
Oh, actually, I haven't zoomed in on.
I think it's supposed to just be a rock that's just there's some surf and stuff that, and but obviously the image
it is a rock.
Yeah, obviously though, the image was pulled as a as in kind of because the guy's position in the photo almost makes it that he's dredging up that rock out of the water.
for sure. But
And yeah,
it
but
could be
that's
a rock-like creature. It could be a golem he's pulling out.
yeah, he could be pulling up a coral giant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the North Atlantic coral giants. They're a threat.
And a thing.
Yep. But yeah, no, and like that's a monster right there. Hell, that's in the Pathfinder. I'm pretty sure that's in Pathfinder, one of the bestiaries of Pathfinder.
It's
is
pretty
like
much anything in the bestiaries of Pathfinder.
I
to be
mean,
honest.
you're not wrong. They were pretty.
Yeah.
They were really kind of like just like let's go hog wild with as many like kind of creatures from like world folklore and stuff that we can find.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's also like you can totally make that monster in like Monster of the Week or Delta Green or Esoterrorist. Like all those systems have monster generation toolkits, so you can have fun with that kind of stuff. And then like some of the ordnance they have to use to like stop them, like the Sea Titan, like the undead Sea Titan dude at the from December 2011. What was it? The authorization of an Ereshkigal class tactical thermal nuclear cluster fire munitions requested and approved by the SCP-NF Control Center or Central Control. Also, when I read that, I had to stop myself from saying the Ereshkigal class tactical thermal nuclear clusterfuck.
That's probably what it's colloquially called as.
Yeah,
referred to as.
But yeah, it's just like there's so many like we said, like there's a ton of different ones that haven't been mentioned even in the listing. So like you can have fun with that, or again even do like it's like a spin-off cataloging project where you're just you're getting in like TOM event suggestions from other writers. Get on that, SCP Foundation. We want to see the TOM event catalog Foundation. I guess that'd be the
foundation within the foundation.
The TECF. We want to see the TECF. Heck, this might even be a good like thing for like the Supernatural Task Force guys. You know,
Yeah,
that old chestnut.
Mm-hmm. Damn right.
Well,
I actually have a note on that.
Okay, you want to mention it now, or should I continue?
Sure. Basically, just he's very clearly a member of the Supernatural Task Force already.
Yeah,
It's literally no joke this time written in the story.
Yeah.
All the dangers are lurking under the water or in some other dimension. I've got to hook them, and you've got to cook them, is what he says. It's the easiest SNTF connection ever.
Yeah. Like actually, I have that in my my last note is about like that last that last thing in his interview.
Mm-hmm.
And how it preludes to like I'll just jump into it now. I'll go a little bit out of order. SCP-3889 looks toward the sun and grins. No matter what they think, we got tough as nails fighters on our little world, no mistake. And it makes me damn proud to see. I got to keep finding them. I can't just quit, and neither can the rest of you. I've gotta hook them, and you've gotta cook them. Who am I kidding? You're just gonna keep pecking me until I spill the beans. You want to know why I can't ever stop, and why you folks need to keep one good eye out as long as you can till the very last man? Agent Torres. Yes, we want to know. SCP-3889 size. Because as heavy as our burden is now, the ones I fish are just the babies. And to that, I'm just like, fuck. Like, that was my immediate response to that was just like, fuck. Like the things that he's been dredging up based on the listing, they're just the small fry.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, like back and the other comment I have for that is like, so I was actually like I sent this SCP out to Matt from Drunk and the Ugly, and we were talking about it in regards to like a Monster of the Week kind of game. And at some point down the road, like in our conversation, we started talking about like Sentai and like Power Rangers because of Monster of the Week kind of stuff. And I think Haulin Hank, Haulin, no, not Rita Repulsa, or like a combination between Rita Repulsa and Zordon, where like he's hauling up the monsters for the group of super soldiers, Sentai Rangers, what have you, to fight. And maybe they have their powers and stuff of that as a result of like something connected to Hank, or maybe they're just an SCP or government funded like Ranger program or something that works kind of tenuously alongside Hank, because like basically the government or the Foundation is tracking and keeping tabs on Hank, and Hank is doing this under the knowledge, like he knows that the Foundation's there to help him, like, or to help put these things down. So he's hauling them up for them to put them down.
What I don't understand is, especially after that conversation he had with what's her name?
Agent Torres.
Yeah. Why doesn't he just work with the Foundation? Like, actually stay in contact. And he's like, I got a feeling that there's one I got to pull up. It seems like it's going to be huge. I'm going to be at this location. Like, he's making it more difficult to do their job.
I hear what you're saying. At the same time, though, I think it's because like he's an eldritch, like he's either an eldritch being himself, or he's got some kind of like maybe because of the curse or the gift that he has, he's not allowed to like directly interfere. Like he knows that this group's going to help him or going to deal with it, but he's not able to like directly influence like their actions.
He has enough control over everything though to like tell them pretty much everything in that conversation.
True.
So and he said that he knows, like he gets a feeling. I don't have the quote handy, but he basically gets a feeling for what it's going to be. And sometimes they trick him, sometimes they don't. But he chooses his location based off the feeling.
Yeah. Well, that also is like something. It's like, yeah, he gets feelings like so, like, and they trick him sometimes. So like, it's almost like, yeah, like he's I think in a perfect world, yeah, that would like he would just be basically the handler in the Delta Green game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in this case, like they're going for like it's more of a like the gods move in mysterious ways kind of thing. Like he may not even be human like entirely. He may be just an alien god being thing that is doing this in a way that he thinks is helping humanity, but he just doesn't see he doesn't see the logic in talking to us directly, because that's not how his brain thinks, right?
But he does talk to us directly.
He does, but he doesn't always. But he there's things that he does leave out, like he just reference, like he's very like he does like subtle like he hasn't told us who he's talking, like how he got his gift, like how he got this power, and who he's talking to or who's influencing him. Like
that's fine. Like we don't technically need to know that shit. But
yeah.
What I feel like they should have asked him is just like, okay, you're going to keep doing your shit. We can't stop you. That's fine. Just let us know when you're going to go fishing, and we'll go with you. Just call us up.
Yeah, just tell us when you're going to go fishing. We'll be a fishing buddy with you.
Yeah, exactly. And if he has any feelings about it, let us know. They may be wrong, but it's good to be prepared.
Yeah. No, I get you. Like, I think that's... It might be valid. Also, I think that would be a really awesome like buddy horror thing of like Agent Torres Agent Torres and Haulin Hank. Like,
yeah,
because I actually I really liked the this like little like I kind of got this like dug this like this kind of personal interview thing that Agent Torres and Hank had.
Yeah, he was really chill.
Yeah, especially the way he talks. Like I got very like he's actually like, for being like this cursed like supernatural entity, he's surprisingly human about it.
Yeah, he's just a dude.
Yeah, like I like through the conversation, like the horror isn't him. It's what he does. It's what he's dredging up. That's the horror like monster thing. But like Hank himself is just kind of like up until this this interview, I was just like, okay, so Haulin Hank's just like a villain, like who's like hauling up these things for shits and giggles. But then when you get the interview, it's like, no, he's not the villain. He's doing this because if he doesn't, there might be worse repercussions as a result of not dredging these things up.
And that's why he uses his substitution jutsu every time they try to capture him.
I was not going to bring up Naruto, but you did. Damn you! This isn't anime rigor mortis.
Either way, that's why he uses that, because if he gets captured, he can't pull them out. And if he can't pull them out, they'll grow and they'll attack when they're fully grown.
I think would have been really cool if like they had just if Torres had just like handed him like a burner phone.
Yeah.
Or like maybe technology doesn't work. Oh no, technology does. Well, maybe technology doesn't work directly with him. Like he can't use directly like technology. He's just a simple man with a rod and tackle box. So like maybe like it's like kind of to go pull from like other like media like Dresden Files and stuff like that. Maybe because of his like supernatural abilities and stuff like that, he can't use phones. Or like both cellular or like home phone or like pay phones and stuff, because they don't work.
Fine.
Yeah.
Like if he can't use them or doesn't want to use them because he's old fashioned, all you do is pin a mic on him, and then
That doesn't work.
when he has those feelings,
Yeah.
just tell him to openly say them, and we'll hear them.
Well, first off, the mic thing might not work either because it's technology. But I'm thinking of something a little bit less low tech, and just like have like a network of like of agents in different cities across the eastern coastline that he can go to and contact to let them know, hey, I'm gonna go fishing because I feel something coming. If one of you want to tag along, that'll be fine.
I mean, they're always viewing him by one way or another. I'm assuming satellites and shit by now, because they know when he's fishing, because they straight up time him and everything.
Yeah,
so they're keeping constant watch on him. So as long as they just keep an agent around him, so even if they can't directly report him audibly through their surveillance materials, if there's just a guy always nearby, as soon as you see him going fishing, then the agent just walks up to him, hey, Hank, what are you fishing for today? Oh, well, I'm fishing for, and then they know.
Yeah, and then we can have that story where he's just like, hey, Hank, what do you know? You know, man, all I want to do is just fish alone today. God damn. He's like, what? Leave me alone. Like, yeah, no, I get you. Because I imagine, like, as soon as they start that, like, it's just like, hey, Hank, what, you going fishing today? It's like, yeah. It's like, all right, hang on. I was like, yeah, we'll bring some people. It's like, yeah, Hank's going fishing. Like giant subs, like nuclear subs coming into shore, like battleships like readying their guns just for like
helicopters floating around him, blowing what was little left of his hair around. He's like, I hate this.
Yeah, exactly. There's your answer as to why he doesn't like work with the SCP Foundation. He wants sometimes he just wants to like, because he even mentions it earlier. Like the reason why he keeps doing it as well is because for the times where he just hauls something unobtrusive out of the ocean, like a giant basking whale out of a canal, like something like that is like, because like those create like tall tales and stuff like that. So like another idea I had for Hank and like as for like game fodder kind of stuff is that he's a progenitor of like the tall fisherman tale. Like he is the original fisherman of the tall tales, like the whale of a tale kind of folklore that spawns on the East Coast. Like you get those like a ton of like those like fisherman tales of like, oh, I found we hunted like we caught the largest fish imaginable, like kind of thing, and by God we got it. It was the devilfish himself. Like those kind of tall tales is kind of what it seems like he lives for as well, on top of summoning giant eldritch horrors that have to be taken down.
I mean, even that he can say, I did that, I fished that. I mean, it's horrible what I fished. They had to kill it immediately. Look what I did.
Well, no, because the SCP Foundation is all about covering it up. So like it's like they have to administer like cover up material and like amnesiatics, like, or whatever like that word is for like making people forget things and stuff. But yeah, like I think that might be part of the reason why he doesn't want to work with them, is because he wants to have some private fishing as well, like where he like summons up a cool giant fish, and like, because sometimes it's not just a giant monster, sometimes it is just like a giant shark that he summons, or some big whale of the hill.
He's smart enough to understand his situation and what he wants to do, and he straight up says, I'm doing this because I know you guys will be there to destroy it. Yeah. So I don't think he really cares about being by himself, because he's not telling them to fuck off.
Yeah,
he's encouraging them to be around him. He wants to be the good guy here.
That is true. It is very like, again, like my only kind of go-to counter for you for this is that he's like the Lord works in mysterious ways kind of thing, where like he's some kind of like mythical entity that just like likes to have fun while he's doing it. So he doesn't really like care. Like he knows that they're going to be there instinctually. So he doesn't see the point in contacting them. is my best guess,
because of all the level of surveillance that technology's at now. Yeah,
exactly.
But any edge that they could have would be handy. That's my whole.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I understand where you're going from, because you're coming from like the Foundation's point of view. It's like, exactly. God damn it, Hank, you're a loose cannon.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just take the goddamn cell phone. It's like, boy, this doesn't work on it. I can't use a cell phone. I don't even know how to press which button to press. Just like I just imagining an SCP like superior just like freaking out at Hank, and then Hank just like vanishes, and then like there's an agent in his place
Yeah.
dabbing.
Okay, you got to pull up more than just dabbing.
I don't know what the other ones.
That's the only
Guys,
stupid stance you know of.
I mean, between that and a Naruto run.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I see where I see where you're coming from on this, and I find it like, yeah, I totally agree with you. I also think that like it's probably Hank just being an eldritch horror, or being a god being himself, just like, yeah, you guys will figure it out. It's like, God damn it, Hank. But yeah, and honestly, yeah, that's really the bulk of my actual thoughts as well. Like, just he's just a either he's a god, like some kind of nautical god that is from a forgotten time, or maybe even just like the current version of a known god, like Poseidon or Nodens for the Cthulhu mythos thing. Maybe the things that he's dredging up are like the spawn of Nyarlathotep, which in some parts of the mythos are Nyarlathotep is the nemesis of Nodens, and Nodens is the god of the hunt. So another type of hunt is fishing. So he's just like an old fishing god, or hell yeah, he's just some kind of old fishing god or some folkloric entity that thrives on tall fisherman tales. Or again, he could have just been a dude who wanted to be the greatest fisherman ever, and was either like cursed by an artifact he found, which is the fishing rod, or cursed by some eldritch sea god
that he accidentally fished up.
Yeah, that he accidentally fished up, and like basically he's the start of his own like tale of like tall fish tale, where like he summoned he caught this fish like wanting to be like the greatest fisherman, made a wish with that weird fish, and it turned out to be some kind of ancient god, and it cursed him with this ability. So yeah, there's a bunch of like, there's a ton of like fodder here, like a lot of material you can like use for any number of stories or other like spin-off entities and stuff like that. And that's really what I'm just trying to, what my actual thoughts are kind of going around, is just exactly as to like the origin of Hank, and or what he dredges up, and what you can do with that. So that's the end of my actual thoughts. Mikey, D stands for evil.
All right. So I like the idea of fishing from another dimension, or even the future potentially. Well, although in some cases, like that one monster was corpses that sort of teleported together.
Yeah, it's like almost like a necromorph, like kind of almost like a necromorph convergence event from the Dead Space series, where they just like all these corpses just like suddenly like amalgam together to form a larger creature.
Yeah, like the thing that this SCP is connected to, the previous one, the flying collection of corpses.
Yeah, but in that one, like we know how it collects corpses. It waits in the dead of night and then like brings one of its arms down and grabs them from their room.
Yeah, but he might have been fished out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that might have been like one of his entities. And I think next week we're going to touch on the other entity that is tied to like that one, and Hank to a degree. And I think I mentioned it in the last episode, where like don't like dead bodies just teleport or something like that into that chamber. So again, like a similar kind of like magic or supernatural effect might be at play as well.
Yeah.
I wonder. I'm curious if CadaverCommander is also the creator of that story, because it's interesting. Like I like how like if that's the case, I like how they've like tied a bunch of their own SCP entities together in this case. But I think I brought that up early, like in the last episode as well. So
yeah, and the one thing that's sort of interesting is the addendum at the end where it talks about the one that we did previously.
Yes.
And his comment is, "Yep, they're getting worse, and now she's watching me." So
before declining and vanishing.
Yeah. So the begs the question is like, who is she? And is she the creator of these creatures?
Yeah.
And she's just slowly getting more and more pissed off that he's fishing them out of the water.
That could be it. I mean, I would be pissed off too if somebody kept stealing my babies before they could fully grow.
And destroy all of modern society.
Yes. And
yeah. It's literally her plan is to destroy humanity, and she keeps creating things, and then he keeps fishing them out before they reach the point where they can.
Like again, if I was to pull this into like a Delta Green game, and use like the Cthulhu mythos as part of like the background work for it, I would like Hank is definitely Nodens, or is an avatar of Nodens, like fishing up these monsters, and she, the mother of these things that he keeps like ripping up, is either Nyarlathotep in one of their various forms, because there are forms of him that are like a giant mother monster kind of thing, or it's Shub-Niggurath, the black goat in the woods with 1,000 young, who is basically the Cthulhu mythos' equivalent of a fertility goddess, who just is the progenitor of all life in existence, and most of the time her direct spawn is like horrendous monstrosities. So yeah, I could just see this like basically like the Delta Green campaign of Haulin Hank is just Nodens is helping out is dredging up these monsters in his own little personal conflict with one of the other eviler or like other more malevolent gods, either Nyarlathotep or Shub-Niggurath, and the Delta Green group is just kind of caught in the following Nodens as he dredges them up so that they can put him down. Like he's just using us as the spear or the knife after he gets his catch in, like pulled in. So I guess we'll have to wait till next entry when we learn a little bit more about she who's watching him, because I think that's a reference to the next one, to 39 something.
Yeah, 39 something. You're right.
Yeah, clearly.
3983.
3983. Yeah, 3983. Yeah.
All right. And then my sort of game scenario that I thought of was sort of having your characters in an underwater lab that's being attacked by a monster, and they find a lone fishing lure just floating in the water,
and it starts bobbing.
Well,
or
basically the way I structure this is that it's a red herring and it's not.
Yeah.
Like if the player ignores it, nothing happens, and the monster probably ends up getting them. If the players lure the monster to the lure, then the monster would take the bait and then disappear.
Yeah, because he teleports to Hank.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, he's actually just dredging. He's just like he's pulling monsters from other places so that like so that he can he can have the SCP Foundation or the DG group deal with them on his terms.
Yeah, and then another scenario I thought of was like, well, what if one of the players goes to investigate and then just gives the line a tug himself?
Goes themselves. See, I had a different thought when you brought this up, and have it be like a Santa Claus situation where Haulin Hank is not a person specifically, but it's a mantle. So
okay.
So when Haulin Hank is like he's playing this like 89-year-old guy. What if he's not immortal? What if Haulin Hank is not the same Haulin Hank from like way back when? What if
he just finds another old fisherman that he's friends with and hands him the pole, then dies?
Or like Haulin Hank, like when he dies, like he just like his its time is up. So he throws the bob into the ocean where he knows that it will because it's magic, it'll appear in front of another old man who basically gets tasked with taking up the mantle of Haulin Hank.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Gray Angler is probably like the more like what it is. So like, oh, what's that? Let's take a look at it. And then he just suddenly gets imbued with all the knowledge and like the power of Haulin Hank. It's like, I am Haulin Hank now. Like kind of like that. So and you can have that as the game where like your characters are like a bunch of old. Basically, it's that grumpy old man movie.
Yeah.
Where they're all about fishing. You know which one I'm talking about, right? Like it had the guy from like Dennis the Menace, like who was
Yeah.
Mr. Wilson. Yeah, no, it's like you. Yeah, the scenario is like you're all like veteran fishermen, who go out on their your annual or like your monthly fishing trip with your buddies, and one of you guys picks up the ball, like the lure.
Whoever rolls the best.
Yeah.
Or the worst.
Yeah. Whoever rolls their awareness, the better. Say, all right, you notice this lure, this really nice looking old lure out in the water, just out in the ocean. And so then you pick that up, and then suddenly like, all right, roll sand. All right, take 1d10 of sand blast if you succeeded, and 1d100 if you failed. And you now hold the mantle of Hank. Or the mantle of the gray angler, and now you know that you have a purpose. Like it's suddenly they get like whispers in their head that they have to go, and so like basically the characters are now following their one player as he is told, and like he can't really he can try and fight it, but it gets worse. Like there are worse repercussions. Like maybe if you don't go and fish up the monster, it breaks loose on its own in near a city. And then like suddenly that city is just like in flames, and then and the character is like told like in the whispers in his head, you could have prevented this if you had only gone fishing.
Yeah, and then like all his fishing buddies, they kind of give up fishing, but they always go with him fishing. But they give it up because they all like train to be like tactical as fuck. Like the characters from Red retired.
I was just thinking of Red. Yeah, so like I'm just picturing a bunch of 80-year-old guys with or 80-year-old characters with like like bazookas, and so because it's in America, Americans can like, from my knowledge of America, you can get any kind of firearm and weapon, and no one will bat.
I don't know about bazookas and shit, man. But
I'm sure it's fine. I mean, I'm sure they sell those at gun shows. Like, you know what, Americans, prove me wrong.
Just walk into a Walmart, just pick up an RPG. That's fine.
It's like, hang on, I gotta pull up this reference. Hang on, here say
Uzi 9mm.
Hang on, no.
Put the cookie down.
No, that's a different movie.
Hasta la vista.
Here it is. This is from Movie Quotes Database. Thank you. In a Terminator in a gun shop, 12 gauge autoloader shopkeeper passes him the gun. That's Italian. Go pump an auto. The 45 long slide with laser sight. These are brand new. We just got them. That's a good gun. You just touch the trigger. The beam comes on, and you put the red dot where you want the bullet to go. You can't miss. Anything else? Phased plasma rifle with 40-watt range. Hey, just what you see here, pal. It was a 9mm. Like that. Yeah, exactly that scene from the Terminator, where you just like you just walk in and just ask like a I don't know what a model is for the rocket launcher, but yeah, just like ask for a rocket launcher.
It doesn't mean they'll have it though.
No, of course not.
Hey, just what we have here.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's like a Barrett 50 cal sniper rifle.
I mean, yeah, you can buy them.
Anti-material rounds. But yeah, just like have that. Yeah, no, that'd be so bad. That'd be so awesome. I want to run that, guys. I'm gonna have to run that.
We have too many games.
It'll just be a one shot.
This is made to not be a one shot, though. That's
it'll
the whole point.
It'll just be a pickup game.
And so are all the other games we play.
Yeah. So what's the point? Like they're made to be pickup games so that you can just like pick up and go. Anyways, our gaming, like, one less die material like aside, back to this thing.
Yeah. Well, just going back to your sort of picking up the mantle.
Yeah.
Just things like he takes it, but then what if he just randomly teleports, and then suddenly there's an SCP Foundation member there? The other old people.
Who are you? You're not Phil. And then that's when there's like, shit, is Hank here? Who's Hank? Well, we just know Phil. Wait, who? And then that's when we realize like, shit, the mantle's been moved over. Fuck. Fish and Phil is now like Haulin Hank is now Fish and Phil.
Nice.
We're trawling Trevor.
Yeah, it all has to be nautical.
Yeah,
It has
of
to be able
course.
to be alliteration.
Absolutely.
So when they got the H, they're like, oh, okay, Haulin, I guess, because he hauls them out of the water? Sure. Yeah, why not?
Or Nautical Nate.
Mm-hmm. I go with
Yeah.
Ned, personally.
Yeah, Nautical Ned, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that one's a good one. That's a good one.
That's the end of my actual thoughts.
All right. On to Gamer. Do you have anything left to say?
I do.
Cool.
One being the header of this page. I really like the header that's up here.
Oh yeah, the image
classifies it to give a rundown of what the power level of this entity is. And I kind of wish all the entries did this.
Yeah, I kind of wish this was the template.
Yeah, it's like yeah, exactly. That's the template that the SCP has. Like they print out this thing, like or when they're starting to set it up, they just load up the basic SCP template, and it has all those. It all structured up there with both blank options in it, and then you just fill it in, and then go into the actual report.
Yeah. Well, also like notice that there's no classified bars, and that's because it's already kind of brought up in the top there with the level 4 secret.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, like, it's because like, well, now that might be an issue with some SCP entries, because a lot of I know a lot of the early SCP entries kind of got their whimsy and creepiness from the fact that they did not have information that was provided because of the format of the bureaucratic format of a classified document.
Yeah, but this whole document is classified, but as long as you're level 4 and above,
which
good.
I mean, that's just for reading it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree. This is a really good like presentation of the article,
Mm-hmm.
and it like leads really early on with that picture of him and everything.
Yeah,
and right from the very start, you have a rough idea of what he looks like and his power level and his class without even reading the first word.
Yeah, 100%. Also, with regards to the image of him there, I thought I had recognized it from something. Like I thought it was there were several times while reading the story I was googling Haulin Hank or something like that, like for like as a maritime thing, because I thought like I recognized him as like I thought there was in Nova Scotia or something. I thought there was like this like famous homeless man that was like almost like a folkloric hero kind of character in like the 20th century. So I looked up this, like me and Mikey reverse image searched this photo. It is just a stock photo of an old man, of an old fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I could not find anything. So this does seem to be like a fully original character. Like it wasn't pulled from anything. But yeah, the images are definitely like really good for like as like material for this entry, because like you can like a lot. You get a full description like just of the man there, and then like you even get like an action photo. With the other one that's, I mean, again, it's clearly just a rock formation that's like bobbing out of the water, and it's just like the positioning of him on the cliff makes it look interesting, but it's still great for this story because it like when you tie it in with writing, it makes it just helps to emphasize the scene that's happening. So I think that's one of the things I like about SCP entries is when they incorporate a photo this well. Like the photo can be completely mundane outside of the context of SCP, but when you add in the SCP in context, it is both interesting and also sometimes chilling.
Sure. What does Etkey disruption class mean?
I've
been reading Keter enough that I know what that means, especially with the picture of a broken lock on it. It means he cannot be contained.
Okay. Etkey means high potential to disrupt the general population. Disruption is typically widespread, affecting major metropolitan areas or countries.
Which makes so much sense.
Okay, so his disruption class is how much he'll disrupt with the normality of human life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So basically, like,
is how lethal he is.
Yeah. Like, and how much exposure, because again, like they have to have a whole group of SCP, like a whole department of SCP. What is it called? Not bottom feed. The Whopper Initiative.
Yeah.
In disseminating
sponsored by Burger King.
Yeah, the Burger King falsifying information on social media and local news networks because like that's a nasty like exposure thing, especially nowadays. Like it's got to be like really hard for like you now like with horror stuff you gotta like really try to like you gotta think about that kind of like consequence now in horror.
That being said, nowadays, if you put anything on the internet, first comment is fake.
Oh yeah, 100%.
People
And actually,
assume it's fake.
and that also is Delta Green's response to well, why doesn't like everybody's got phones and like everybody's like recording and stuff like that, and that is their response is like, well, I mean, most of the time, if something is recorded online, it's considered fake anyway, so no one's gonna believe you even if you do post it online.
Yeah, it's almost easier to pass it off now than it was back in the day.
Yeah,
If you
like
took
back
a single picture of it back in the day, people are like, "What the fuck? This is real."
Yeah, but nowadays everyone has access, like easy access to Photoshop, to video editing software, TikToks, YouTube. Like stars are like a dime a dozen of seeing ghosts and demons in their basements or attics or out their backyard, and it's just a dude or like just a cool CGI monster effect because it's a scene from a short film that somebody's working on. Like that's all you got to do nowadays. Like I've seen Cthulhu in a hurricane like storm. Like you can like there's videos
Personally.
on yeah. There's videos on YouTube of like hurricane footage, and then like you hear like a weird sound, and then like somebody has added in a cool, very convincing CGI effect of Cthulhu in the clouds, like as lightning strikes.
Awesome.
Like, you can see this like giant silhouette. Yeah, no, it's
However, it pales in comparison to actually seeing Cthulhu.
oh,
right?
of course. I mean, like your eyes would catch fire from seeing such a monster.
Hence why your eye glows. Yeah.
Well, why do you think I only have
all
one
the
eye?
colors, blue, and then it's a combination of blue and yellow. That's why.
Yeah. Well, also, why do you think I only have one eye?
Yeah.
I lost the other one because I winked at Cthulhu.
Makes sense. Yeah. Moving on.
Yes.
The next one is in regards to the word Foundation. It says, in conjunction with Foundation naval assets and everything. I don't recall reading stories where they refer to the SCP Foundation as the Foundation. So it confused me for half a second until I realized that they probably meant personnel from the SCP Foundation.
Yeah.
I just don't recall stories referring to the SCP Foundation as just the Foundation.
Fair. And again, it's probably just like the way this person's writing it. Like, I mean, they're writing the 3889th entry of the SCP Foundation. They probably had a little bit of. They probably figured they had a little bit of leeway on like what they could on how they could address the Foundation. Because I know again, like to go back to Delta Green, you don't call Delta Green Delta Green. You call it the program, or or like people. Like Delta Green from like the 90s, like the agents that were working in the 90s and the time when Delta Green was illegal and not and like wasn't brought back in out of the cold by the government. They're called the Cowboys because they were in the time when like the government had disbanded Delta Green, but they were still working on like illegally like as a government conspiracy. So yeah, like they don't refer to Delta Green as Delta Green; they refer to it as the program.
Okay.
So yeah,
easier answer is probably just I don't remember. Remember it.
I guess that's also another excuse for it.
Yeah. I'm sure you could very quickly find other stories where they refer to it as the Foundation. I just don't remember.
That's fair.
So moving on. SCP-3889 is Henry Hank McAllister, a retired independent fisherman.
Oh no.
Born primarily out of that. So I guess I know. I guess we know now who Kevin McAllister's unnamed grandfather is.
Yep. You know what? I had the same kind of thing. I was like, wait, was for a second? Was Kevin's name Henry? Is this what happened to Kevin? Was this what happened to Kevin after Home Alone?
No. However, I looked through his. I went on to like a Home Alone wiki.
No.
His entire family is named, but he has an unnamed grandfather.
Oh my god! So it's Henry. Yes. Canon. To take a bit from a friend podcast. Henry Hank McAllister is the unknown grandfather of Kevin McAllister from Home Alone, and that is canon, not Nick Cannon. It's true. Sorry, that's a little bit from the Kame House Party boys.
Nice.
Whenever they do, like, whenever they add a cannon to their to their shit.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's my head cannon now.
Yeah, it really is. And
Yeah.
especially because the events of Home Alone 1 were like 1 or 2 states away from
God.
where he wanders.
I mean, Illinois, like, because that's all in Chicago is when is where Home Alone takes place.
Yeah, and it's
Oh, and
only a
then-
couple of states
yeah.
away from the ones that are listed here for this SCP
That's
entity,
true, yeah.
which means his grandfather lives a couple of states away. Like, that sounds pretty normal.
Also, I could see like maybe he started in Chicago, and like, I mean, there are lake monsters in the Great Lakes, like Lake Superior's Soupy. Also the Lake Superior keeps its dead is a saying for Lake Superior.
Oh, geez.
Because and the reason why that's a saying is because of the cold temperatures and how deep the lake is. Bodies don't resurface; they just stay at the bottom of the lake, and they don't decompose very well because of the temperatures down there.
Wow.
So yeah, there's actually a whole like shipwreck in Lake Superior, where people have scuba dived down to it, and the bodies are still relatively maintained because like their animals haven't really got to them because it's that cold down there.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's fucking terrifying. But yeah, no, like and like the Great Lakes, like Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, like all those Great Lakes that we have in the middle of like around Chicago area where the Home Alone movies take place, they do technically connect to the ocean by the St. Lawrence in Lake Ontario. So he could have just traveled along the St. Lawrence and then just started moving south along the down the East Coast and just kind of following where the creatures were coming from.
Mm-hmm. Also, it doesn't seem like it matters where he is because he pulled that shark out of like a little river, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like it doesn't seem like there's no like size issue. Like I think he could have pulled something out of a pool if he really wanted to. Because again, it's like more like a dimensional breach. So water is
man-bear take out of a freaking puddle.
Yeah, like water is supposed to be like the membrane between realities, but
he's basically fishing in Minecraft.
Son of a bitch. Yeah.
Oh, there's another cannon. Steve is Haulin Hank.
Yeah. No, Haulin Hank is Herobrine.
I don't know.
Hero, Henry Brine. Anyway, yeah, we're really diving deep on this one.
Hilarious joke.
Yes, I try.
Anyways, so I have a small list of learning things. One being octogenarian.
Okay.
The other one be epitheletical.
I'm sorry.
It's a I probably should have looked up how to pronounce this. Epithetical. It's a thin tissue forming on the outer layer of a body's surface. And it's referring to his name being epithetical, I think.
Okay.
I'll look it up. I probably should have. Yeah, known as by its epithetical name within local folklore.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like his name is just sort of like it's equivalent to a thin tissue over the being that is him.
Yeah, it's a nickname. It's basically like a fancy way of saying a nickname.
Yes.
or giving a monster a nickname, yeah.
Also, Setter Highness Maximus.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Basking shark.
Did anybody else
Google that? And what the hell?
Yeah. Have you not? Yeah, I did. I knew what a basking shark was, but like, yeah, like I kind of wished like this is the one part. Is like I know there's a fancy name there, but I wish that it just like in brackets basking shark.
No, I'm fine that it didn't. Because if it said basking shark, I wouldn't have bothered looking it up.
And then you wouldn't have gotten that. Yeah.
Shark. Yeah, but because it didn't say it, I had to Google it, and I get to see a shark that has a giant like strainer for a mouth.
Yeah, because it's one of those sharks that like eats krill and like smaller fish. It's not a it's not really a like it's not like a great white. It's more like
not a predator.
Yeah, well, I mean it is, but it's a pettable predator because it's one that doesn't eat people. Like doesn't eat large things.
I don't know if it's actually pettable, but it won't eat us.
I mean, technically, no shark should be pettable because their skin is made of basically fine blades.
Oh, damn! Really?
Yeah. If you don't want to touch a shark, at least, or you either don't want to touch a shark, period, or you don't want to touch a shark the wrong way because the way their scales and stuff are, they're so fine, but they're bladed that you could cut yourself. That's why a lot of like people who handle sharks and stuff like that, they have like chain link gloves, or like kind of like very like thick or like metal gloves.
Oh wow. I
Yeah.
thought that might have been just for bites, like
No,
biters.
it's also just because of like how their skin is.
Jeez. It's like if you pet a cat the wrong way, it gets angry. If you pet a shark the wrong way, you lose your hand.
Yeah,
Just from the act of
you get like a million like paper cuts on your hand.
Yeah, like a cheese grater.
Yeah, basically. That's actually a very good analogy for it.
Yeah. So my next one.
Yep.
In regards to the item list, kind of. So he fishes all these creatures out of the water, right? And some of them, like the ranging in size, but one of them is even like 120 meters, which turns out to be 420 feet.
Blaze it.
Out of the water.
Is that the Titan?
Yeah, that was the Titan. He was 420. He was blazing it the entire time.
Yeah.
So is he just always fishing from cliffs that are like at least 100 meters above the water?
I mean, sometimes it seems like he does it from like inlets and like from it's hard to tell, like because I don't think he did that with the shark. I think he probably pulled that one up from like a dock or something.
What I'm getting at is the mechanics of if he's standing at water level and he's fishing something out, he can only bring it up about 6 feet, the height of him.
Yeah.
The height of him plus the fishing pole, right? So if it's this giant thing that's 420 feet tall, maybe he just initiates pulling it out and then disconnects the bait, and then it gets out the rest of the way, I guess.
I think that's probably what's going on.
Yeah, but for him to fully lift something out, it's only going to be the height of him or the cliff.
Yeah. So basically, whenever the SCP Foundation sees that he's going toward a cliff to do it, he's like, "Oh fuck, get the gunboats out."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's when it's gonna be a bad time.
Mm-hmm. Damn right.
It's like, why is he fishing from the Eiffel Tower?
A bucket that he put on the bottom of the Eiffel Tower. He climbed to the top.
Also, wrong goddamn continent. I meant like no. Why is he up on the top of the Statue of Liberty? Oh, jeez.
Dapu. Yeah, that works. And then my next one is in regards to the ending zinger, the heavy burden, because they're just babies and all that. I'm not really a fan of how this dialogue ends, to be honest.
Oh.
Like, yeah, it ends on a zinger, but it's not like we cut the credits here. This is meant to be an immersive experience to a point, this entire thing. And this is a transcript of a dialogue. So maybe they finished their dialogue, but there's nothing of note, so they didn't record it.
Yeah.
But personally, I'd like to see the conversation from beginning to end.
Yeah, like perhaps like right after this, he decided to just vanish.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah, like there should have been like in brackets SCP-3889, then vanished, and then a TOM event happened, and Agent Torres had to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, or just say something like, I probably told you too much anyways, or by now, I'm gonna go. And then he like owls on the corner or on the edge of the wharf that he's on, and then ports in some dude.
Yeah, fair. That said, I would like to see like this transcription actually turn into like a short film. That'd be really fucking cool. Because for like, especially for it to end like on that note, like that would be perfect. Yeah. But that's more for like a video medium, not a transcript kind of thing.
Yeah, and the story itself didn't even stop there. There's a little bit after that as well. So it's a zinger. It's an ending zinger that isn't at the end.
Fair.
It's weird. And then speaking of the end, the addendum that's tacked on with the links and stuff, where it's talking about 3983 and everything right at the end. It says investigation of 3889's correlation to 3897 and 3983 are all related phenomena, and all related phenomena is currently underway. So the 3983 kind of just comes out of nowhere. Like it's been kind of referenced by it saying like she earlier on, but it's not like tabbing aside saying that he is probably referencing to this other entity. So it's just kind of thrown at us right at the very end, but it's laid out in a way like we should already know what it is, even though we don't.
Yeah, you're right, because it doesn't like even in it doesn't mention 3983 in the addendum until that point. And
so it kind of feels tacked on.
That's true. Yeah, and I mean like I did read both this entry or I skimmed this entry and 3983's entry when we did 3897. So I got I'm pretty confident that 3983 is supposed to reference she, but Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Like there should be almost like a mention of that in the above addendum paragraph to kind of properly link that that thing.
Yeah, the end is wrapping up the connection between 8.3 and 8.9.
Yeah.
Or
Like
8.8.9 and 9.8.3, but they're not connected. It's not brought up beforehand.
Yeah.
And I like that they're being connected. Please do this. It's just, I think it should be written a little bit more into it instead of just tacked on.
Did you add anything extra? Because I have an idea of how you could do that.
No, I did not.
Okay, so it's like, yep, they're getting worse, and now she's watching me. SCP-3889 declined to elaborate before vanishing. It is possible, and then like this is where I would add, like it is possible that 3889 was referencing 3983, based on correlating evidence, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, something as simple as that.
That would solve the problem right there.
Yep. And that's the end of my notes.
All right. So I guess we shall move on to final thoughts. Honestly, I recommend this entry. It's a fun yet still kind of horrifying entity with its implications. It's a thrilling entity itself. As he's also surprising, like probably out of all the SCP entries that we've come across, and most of the ones that I've seen, with the exception of Lord Blackwood, he's probably the most human I've encountered. In my readings of the SCP entries, like he's a dude. He's a good old boy who summons monsters for seemingly terrifying but good intentions. And as far as an SCP goes, it's surprisingly forthcoming on details about what's going on, and that's really cool. Like it's a wealth of creative possibilities here on like what is given to us about this creature and his motivations, and even like some of the stuff that isn't brought in or isn't talked about is just like extra fodder and stuff, like the 38 plus monster like Teom events that we don't see. And again, like his origins and intentions are like we literally named off a handful of game ideas and story ideas here, with like being like basically Santa Clausing him, like it's a mantle that must be taken, or like again various types of Monster of the Week style game story material here. So yeah, I bottom line, I recommend SCP-3889 because it's just a fun little SCP entry that has some horror in it, but is also just like a cool character. So that's my recommendation. So Mikey, the E stands for you.
I'm going to also recommend this. I didn't really get the creep factor until it was revealed that he was just fishing the babies.
Yeah. Or the small fry.
Yeah. But once that hit, I was like, oh.
yeah. Suddenly I become afraid of the ocean. All over again. It's like, looks like we're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah. So, and the Haulin Hank is an interesting character because he's a trickster, and I like his ability to fish into alternate dimensions.
Yeah.
So he's got that going for him.
So recommendation then?
Yep.
And gamer.
Well, for me, the entity is really interesting because he's just a dude. He's an ageless dude with unbelievable reasoning behind his motives. Or sorry, believable reasoning behind his motives. They're not unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say it's like he's an ageless dude, or he's an immortal dude with seemingly cosmic powers. Like,
well, yeah, pretty much. But his reasoning behind all of his motives is believable.
Yeah.
He isn't just like some bland monster who's like, I'm a scary dude, I kill people because of reasons. I like that he basically has this curse and does everything in his power to stop it from hurting people, aside from contacting.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that shoe to drop.
Yeah.
Except for contact the authorities whenever you're about to go fishing.
But working on his own, he does the best he can.
Yeah.
Plus, he's a funny dude with the teleport switcheroo situations and everything. It's kind of neat. That being said, some of the layout I didn't really, some of the grammar related stuff I wasn't a fan of, mainly the massive run-ons and
Yeah.
the reveal of the size of his catches, I think needs to be put earlier. But aside from that, and the connection to the other creepypastas, the other SCPs it's wanting to connect to, if those were all changed, this would be perfect. I would fully recommend it. But as it is, I'll give it a partial recommendation because I enjoyed it. It's just there was a lot of things along the way that bugged me.
Okay.
But the story itself, I enjoy. Just the execution is a little lacking, but not much.
All right. So 2 full recommendations and a partial recommendation, just because it could use some work, some editing work.
Yeah, just form-wise.
Yeah. All right. So that was this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. We're on Twitter. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without that W because his name is very long.
Damn right.
And I'm at Review Cultist. You can also leave us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCP entries, spooky things that are on the internet that you'd like us to discuss on the show. And if you'd like to help support the show financially, you can go to Patreon. Look up Al Dente Rigor Mortis and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, extra content, early access. To our patrons that are already helping support the show, thank you guys immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and as always, we very much appreciate that. And if you, to our listeners and the authors of these entries, thank you immensely, because without your listenership, it would be like talking into the void, and I'd be sad. Without your SCP entries and authorship, we wouldn't have much of a show because we wouldn't have something to talk about. So I appreciate that. Thank you. If you'd like some of the ideas that we've been kind of mentioning and coming up with in this one, and if you're curious about our actual play RPG game stuff, we have a sister podcast called One Less Die, a Shadowrun and gaming actual play podcast where we post RPG recordings that we've done over the last few years. If you'd like to get some of our logos on some merch, go check out Redbubble. There's, you can get like pins, stickers, T-shirts with our logo on it. You could get like, if you want to be that God tier fan of us, you could go and get a shower curtain. One of the more like interesting pieces of merchandise that they sell on Redbubble, and then tell us you have, because that would be amazing. But
why?
Just saying. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.
With your ADR bed sheets.